The writers is a little bit more for me than the actors. A writer, I can conceive. He goes out, he does a project, he spends 6 months writing on it, he spends another 2 to 3 months shooting it, and then he's done until his next project. I can understand why an actor probably needs some sort of bump in residuals or gap pay or something like that to just be able to live. Mm-hmm. Actors, though,
behind the cape. So we got to talk about this actor strike, because I'm gonna be honest with you, with the writer strike, I wasn't paying that much attention to it. I'll be honest, I just wasn't. I was aware of their concerns, mostly, AI taking their jobs and things of that nature. But now that the actors are effectively supporting the writer strike and going on strike themselves, it's become a whole new thing. Mm. And so listening to what Fran Drescher had to say about...
There's been a bunch of actors that I didn't even remember was still a thing popping out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Seen Ron Perlman talking shit about one of the CEOs that said, we're just going to wait until they lose their houses and shit.
One thing before I get off this. The motherfucker who said we're going to keep this thing going until people start losing their houses and their apartments. Listen to me, motherfucker. There's a lot of ways to lose your house. Some of it is financial, some of it is karma, and some of it is just figuring out who the fuck said that. And we know who said that, and where he fucking lives. There's a lot of ways to lose your house. You wish that on people. You wish that families starve while you're making $27 fucking million a year for creating nothing. Be careful, motherfucker. Be really careful. Because that's the kind of shit that stirs shit up.
Bob Iger said some crazy things while he was away at Billionaires Summer Camp.
It's billed as the summer camp for billionaires. Private jets are descending on an American resort town, hosting a conference of the ultra-wealthy.
Come on, fam. He had a lot to say, too, about how this is not right and the actors are going about it all the wrong way. It's fam, you are a billionaire.
Well, so the last time the actors and the writers got together and striked was back in the 60s.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what was able to secure them their pensions and residuals, right? So that was something that was real for even the working class actor or just the working class cast member who could then have a retirement after working in Hollywood for so long. So that is dope. That's the part of it that we've kind of nudged at a point is how much of this is actually here's what I want to get an understanding on. Maybe commenters can help me. Every actor working on an American production is part of the Screen Actors Guild? Yay or nay?
Nay.
I don't think so, right?
You have to actively
join. The Screen Actors Guild in itself is somewhat of an exclusive club. It has to be something that you earn membership into, right? And you pay dues.
Yeah, I think there's a requirement to it. I don't know what the requirement is.
Right, there's a threshold.
But there's something that probably keeps actors away from extras, for example.
So when I'm trying to conceptualize this and I'm thinking about working class actors, right? People that we don't see on major studio productions. The people who are doing the access television stuff. You know what I mean? Are those the type of people that are getting pushed or maybe not so much to the forefront because I know that in itself is unrealistic, but at least have a voice in all of this? You know what I'm saying? And what is the ask? Because I know what the ask for the top actors is we want better compensation. We want better splits on the profit, which, again, is very pro-worker, and I'm here for it. But then again, there's this underlayer of, well, now it just sounds like we're negotiating higher contracts for millionaires, which, well, no, that's not pro-worker at all, right? It's like rich folk trying to be closer to the rich folk that they answer to, and that's where it gets a little bit hazy for me. Beyond the higher compensation for your Marvel Studios, your DC Studios, even the people who are on network television, right? Because even that is more steady and more advantageous employment than 90% of Americans could ever hope for. You know, getting paid six figures for 6-7 months worth of work out of a year. So, you know, the writers is a little bit more for me than the actors. A writer, I can conceive, he goes out, he does a project, he spends 6 months writing on it, he spends another 2 to 3 months shooting it, and then he's done until his next project. I can understand why an actor probably needs some sort of bump in residuals or gap pay or something like that to just be able to live. Mm-hmm. Actors, though,
here's, I guess, the problem with it is, so the two main things that I've seen Sean Gunn talking about the fact that he was on Gilmore Girls, which is a huge show for Netflix.
Yeah.
And yet he's seeing basically no residuals from it. The other one is, I think I've seen that Netflix executives were actually laughing about the fact that Orange is the New Black wasn't making that much in residuals.
They said there was more people that watched Orange is the New Black than watched Game of Thrones. But then one of the writers, I guess, got a residual check for like $300. Okay. So I think part of the misunderstanding with that, though, is that they think that the streamers are making money hand over fist. And what they're not watching is that these companies routinely lose money year after year after year after year. The only revenue stream for somebody who is strategically placed as a streamer, right? They don't have a foothold in linear television. So, like, Disney is playing this half in, half out game, right? Yeah, they're losing at Disney Plus, but the reason why they're not hurting, well, they are hurting, but the reason why they've been able to stave off a lot of their you know, losses is because they had linear, because they had the parks, because they had merchandising and things of that nature.
Different departments and stuff like that.
Netflix is a streamer. There is no Netflix store. There's no Netflix park to go to view all of their properties in attraction form or ride form. There's no other way to sell Netflix other than the app that's on all your devices. That's it, right? And the only way that they reap the maximum amount of profit out of that is subscriptions. That is the lifeblood of streamers, of streaming services. So when you hear these companies talking about, oh, well, we came in under target on our quarterly growth for subscribers. Oh, we were expecting to be at 120 million subscribers by now, but we're only at 70 million. That accounts for a lot because it is the main form of revenue for that property, and that is where the bulk load of their content is being pushed through. So when they're asking for higher splits, you're basically asking the boss to cut his bonus, right? Which is a fair ask for me. But then I also realize that
they're not going to do.
They're not going to do that shit. They're not going to do it, especially if you don't have a stronger, like, working class message behind it. Because, again, I understand the merit of your argument, Sean Gunn. The fact of the matter is that I know you are a much better, well-off paid actor than, you know, one of the voice actors on Arthur. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all are not playing on the same field. You're not asking for the same amount of change. That guy would just like to be able to get a check for the year and make sure he can feed his family. You want points. You know what I'm saying? You want other type of back-end deals that aren't available to you right now. You want a couple extra $1,000 on top of your already 6-figure salary. It's not the same, and so that's why I feel like they're not losing public perception, because I think people hate the studios.
I mean, you're always going to hate the billionaires and executives more.
The kind of grassroots feel of it is not there, though, because at the end of the day, the people driving this boat are incredibly wealthy. They just are, and it's not the people that they say that they're championing at the forefront. It's not the boom guy. It's not the lighting guys. It's not the VFX artist. It's the people who, at this doesn't go their way, are not going to actually lose their shit.
Here's my, I guess, argument for that is it possible that, sure, I don't know what role Sean Gunn played in Gilmore Girls. I've seen Gilmore Girls before. I didn't even know he was in it, though. But is it possible that, You get people like Ron Perlman, Sean Gunn, Fran Drescher to put the message out there
Right.
to kind of, obviously give people a face to look at, but then it's actually,
I think
for the
that's
people who are
point,
lower.
But again, with most other instances where you see this type of labor movements, it's just not celebrities helping drive the message forward or getting it out there. It is normal, ordinary people connecting with other normal, ordinary people to garner energy. Now, I'm not saying the celebrity shouldn't be part of it because this is their fight as well. I'm saying when we hear people talking on this and trying to educate, what is a stronger argument for the normal or ordinary American, right? The guy who's making $30 an hour to carry a piece of sound equipment and he's there for 15 hours and his contract may or may not get renewed for the next production, right? That's something that I can relate to. That's something that I can connect to. That's somebody who lives down the street from me, right? But Elizabeth Olsen saying, oh, well, I'm forced to, only take one project deal, so it's more advantageous for me to negotiate.
That's a problem.
That doesn't, no, but again, she's right, but it doesn't, that's not what's going to get the people going.
Yeah. So I guess, is it fair that maybe they started this thing, right? They obviously started on Friday. Am I right? That's when they officially went on strike. So is it possible that to coincide with them going on strike, to get some headlines going, they put Ron Perlman, Fran Drescher, all them
I would
out
think
front?
at this point that they're entrenched, they should be putting that at the forefront because now people are going to start facing consequences from not working. That should be highlighted more than anything. You've already gotten people's attention that we've already seen it. We know it's going on. I think you've gotten as much exposure as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Now the focus should be placed on what these studios are forcing their not only former employees, but will be employees at some point again to go through in the short term while they're going through these negotiations. That is going to be more of a bargaining chip for them in turning the studios into the bad guys, into the villains, than, millionaires balking back and forth about their splits.
Millionaires fighting billionaires.
Yeah, it's just,
I'd like to see maybe if we can make it happen, because obviously they're not making much money. Things like YouTube ads placed with regular actors telling their stories about why this can't be the thing going forward, right? So like some actor who was on House, a couple times is maybe struggling because of inflation now. And so they kind of tell their story about what's happened to them because they're not receiving residuals from the show that they're on, the wildly
to that end, what's a
show.
good example? So one of the things they said about AI in the negotiations was that they should be able to bring in background actors or, extras and things of that nature, pay them for their day's work, basically to get their profile, and that's it. And they should be able to use it in perpetuity. That's trash. That's garbage. Yeah. That's literally why the NCAA is a farce of an organization with no teeth now, because they tried to convince people that they had the right to sell or bargain off other people's likeness without their consent because they were amateurs. Well, you have even less of an argument like that if you're a movie studio, because they're literal employees. They're people that you're hiring. You're taking a piece of their likeness and attempting to use it in perpetuity with what? With a one-time payment. They're not forced to accept that. Like that is not a gradual integration of AI. That is a straight up fuck you, we don't need you. We'll give you crumbs for your picture. Hope you see it on TV one day. Like, nah, that's just not, that's not good faith negotiating.
Yeah.
Right? If AI is going to become a part of the industry, then someone's individuality or likeness have to become that much more rare and commodified, not less. Right? Like I'm not in the business of turning human beings into fodder for the robots. Like I don't understand what rich people's obsession is with replacing human beings with machines.
Costs.
Sure. But again, every robot movie I've ever seen ended in the robots taking the fuck over.
Sure.
So like it's like it's weird. We have this ability as humans to be prophetic through our media, but then we just ignore it. It's like a sixth sense that we bury. It's a third eye that we put a big ass patch over. We tell stories and movies about shit like this all the time, and then we just ignore it. Like we weren't just talking about it a century ago.
Yeah, I mean, well, as far as AI goes, I feel like, me personally, and this might be just a theory of mine and mine only, but I feel like there's a level you can get to essentially maximum efficiency without giving AI a complete mind of its own.
I don't get it. How close do you want to get to making this thing fully sentient before you say, all right, maybe the comfort or, you know, the $500,000 I'd have to spend on actors is worth not having to fight my dishwasher.
And you have to put faith in people to not corrupt it. That's
how
probably
much
the biggest
capacity are we going to add to something that is not currently sentient and flirt with making it live, thinking, growing, adaptable, able? This is a whole nother conversation. We've gotten so far from the writers' guild. but again, that they're not negotiating in good faith. I don't feel like so. I mean, it's good that they're entrenched, I guess, and they're all in it together. I would like to see, personally, I'd like to see more of the working class aspect of this being pushed.
That's fair. Now, there's also the other side of it to where how it's going to impact the industry going forward. And I think numerous people have said this, but it's going to be essentially like another pandemic for the entertainment industry in the sense that you probably won't feel it right now, but eventually there's going to be a huge slowdown in entertainment properties, movies, TV coming out.
That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. What's a bad thing is people like Iger coming out and saying, "Oh, it was the amount of content that we were putting out that was the problem." People not acknowledging that they've identified what the actual issue is, quality, over what you would like it to be, which is reception and quantity. That's not it, man. We would eat this shit up hand over fist like the gluttonous, greedy creatures we are if it was good. You say anything you want about Americans. We are greedy, but we have taste, goddammit.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm just saying, we will eat that shit until we literally kill over and die. But it's got to be good.
Yeah.
It's got to be good. Don't feed me, oh, we just gave you too much. No, you gave me too much crap, too much filth. Good content, lack of it is the issue, Mr. Iger. So when I'm seeing these slates of shows and movies that I was kind of wavering on whether or not they're going to actually come out, well, now hearing him say that, shit, we may get Echo in November. It may actually hit.
We'll see.
We may actually get an Echo film. Now, an Echo show. Do I expect it to be good? No. No. I don't expect anything that you are reluctant to show me 6 months from its release. I'm not excited to see anything. Yeah. We're half a year away from the show. Actually, well, less than half a year. We're 4 months away from November. Yeah, less than a half a year away. We haven't seen a single anything. Not even like a shot from the set.
Nothing.
I don't think I've seen a poster.
I've seen the logo.
And then we're supposed to turn around right there at the start of the year and have Agatha Covenant of Chaos, which again we've seen set photos. Yeah. No teaser, nothing like that. We'll probably get that maybe in the fall. Maybe in the fall. But Echo, Ironheart, Armor Wars will probably happen. That's probably going to happen. Not that Rhodey was a Skrull.
So this part will actually lead into one of our other topics, but the one thing that you'll see in an immediate impact, and we've already started seeing, is actors obviously not promoting, and so you're going to see a much larger impact on promotion. And so Oppenheimer, the actors walked out of the film premiere because it was happening right then and there.
Oh, you mean Oppenheimer's not going to beat Mission Impossible? That's what happened anyways. Nice cover there, Nolan.
Right. And so you'll start to see more, obviously, a lot less people on red carpets, interviews, and things like that. And obviously, we've also seen that instead of having actors on one of the premieres for a Disney movie, they decided to just have random Disney characters show up.
For Haunted Mansion. Yeah.
Haunted Mansion,
There
that's what it
were
was.
the costumed theme park characters there on the red carpet for the Haunted Mansion.
Which is
premiere.
not.
Hey, man, I much prefer Ursula in a suit over Tiffany Haddish. You can't have her around the children, so.
Fair. That is
Gotta keep her away from the kiddos.
So, yeah, I mean, that's where you're going to probably see a lot more impact immediately. And then, like I said, obviously, we're going to see an impact on shows slowing down, delays, obviously. I mean, even though it was a fake article, we're probably going to see Mahershala Ali just dip from Blade.
Hey, man, it's crazy that was so believable because, dog, I like, but that would be such a blow for them. That's why I knew it was fake. I was like, oh, no, that'd be everywhere. They'd have that bitch up on CNN. They'd have that bitch up everywhere.
Yeah.
Oscar winner Mahershala Ali spurns Marvel. We have the breakdown here from Brian Stelter at 8.
I mean, should we already start talking about who we want to recast as Blade? Yolanda Noel?
They're going to have to go
Trevante Rhodes?
young and up and coming for sure.
I think Trevante would actually really be a good Blade.
A good Blade.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate, man.
It
This is just garbage. They finally get something halfway going, but then again, bruh, I have become less and less confident with Bo DeMaio. Less and less confident with Bo DeMaio.
What's been going on with that?
Well, we talked about the X-Men stuff. That is not giving me a bunch of confidence. Plus, the only thing we had to go off of was those episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier, as it was.
Yeah.
So, like, all right, it was like kind of all right, cool, we'll give you a chance, and then you think that the X-Men should be an all-black team, not an all-black X-Men team. I need to clarify again. No. The X-Men that you know and love, Scott and Logan and Jean, and no, they should just all be black, like Bishop's War College, like that.
Yeah.
Very zany. And then Roberto da Costa should be a white man because he's Brazilian.
Pretty sure Brazilians span the color.
Yeah, man.
Colorway.
Yeah. Anyways,
she is co-writing a Miss Marvel run, which is very interesting because we talked about Elizabeth Olsen talking about obviously actors should have a little bit more creative control in their characters. Look, fam, I don't know if it gets any more controlling over the creative side.
Co-writing the rewrite of her origin, essentially, because this is going to be her reintroduction as a mutant to fit her, her MCU side. I like this for Iman Vellani. I do. It's starting to fit this newer trend of actors writing comics to fit their movie franchises. I think that's dope. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Again, it gives us something that we've been asking as like comic readers for decades now. Why don't you match the canon to what's happening on the television screen, or excuse me, the movie screen, to entice people to come and get these stories? Like, I'm assuming that the gap in between Creed 3 and whatever new iteration comes out off of that franchise, more than likely going to be his daughter, will be told in the comic book that I'm currently reading from Michael B. Jordan.
Are you doing a review for that?
We will be.
Okay.
Right? Like, that is dope. Like, as a to be able to continue the saga, reading it, and then pick it back up on the big screen at some point, is going to be dope. And it's also going to make me care and be invested in the female protagonist replacement for Creed.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it damn, and it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then, You won't be able to call me a toxic misogynist because I will be championing that character because it was done well and it was a story that was given care to a character that they gave a damn about. So same thing with Miss Marvel. Like, I don't know, the whole kill Miss Marvel and Amazing Spider-Man thing just seems like it was very convenient. It was a convenient way to get her off the board to bring her back as something else. Mm-hmm. They needed a reason, so they made it up. But the aftermath for Miss Marvel maybe is a little bit more positive than what I previously thought when they killed her the first time. I wasn't completely convinced that there was some sort of plan behind it. But I mean, first off, how involved is she actually going to be? Like, what do they allow? What changes do they allow to be attributed to her? Obviously, the mutant thing was already in the works.
Yeah.
What changes to the character or what nuances added to the character are they going to actually allow her to own? You know what I mean? Because
if any,
even if she writes it, I have a hard time believing that they're going to let her take the lion's share of the credit.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
I think it lends to her. Obviously the people's perspective on her is that she is also a huge fan.
Oh, they're leaning into it. They're leaning into it. My advice to her is that now that she's also leaning into it is to never let that go.
Agreed.
Do not let that go, because right now you are establishing why people like you, why people hold you to a certain esteem. You're going to be a popular figure in the MCU going forward if you kind of nurture that the right way. If you balk at it, if you kind of switch up and become more of a corporate entity than a comic book fangirl like you are now, people will see right through it because you are showing us who you are now. I feel like this is very authentic. It's very genuine. You don't sign up to write a comic book if you don't like comic books, usually.
And it's a very interesting case of representation in the sense that comic book fans can look at another comic book fan actually being in the movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty interesting.
It's pretty dope.
All right, let's talk about this Superman Legacy casting. So obviously the biggest casting is that of Mr. Terrific. I couldn't remember what it was. I don't know DC Comics all like that.
My boy, not Sync. What is his name? Darwin. He played Darwin in X-Men First Class.
Eddie Gathegi.
There you go.
That was completely different from what I said. See, that's why you got to get a pronunciation.
No, you said Edie Diggy.
Yeah, no, it's Eddie Gathegi.
There you go.
A lot of people were talking about the fact that Nathan Fillion will be playing Guy Gardner, Green Lantern.
Yeah, I don't know what the order is. I'd like to see John before we start flooding with all the lanterns.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's necessary to convolute it. I know what Chill would say about John. I think it's pretty clear to the generation of watchers that he's going to most want to engage with, who the most popular one is at this point. Maybe historically there's a different viewpoint on it. I think it does kind of allow you to kind of bounce around the Green Lantern Corps because of the setup of what they are and what their role is. It's kind of like a universal police force. But you got to pick one to run the show. And if I'm just being totally candid, it feels like, well, we got a black guy, so let's just kind of even it out.
Yeah.
We'll just share it. Well, if you chose Hal, which I don't think you could at this point, then it wouldn't be a let's share it thing. It would be, Hal's the one and everybody else just kind of pops up. So, like, similarly, if we're choosing John, we should go ahead. We went from a movie to a series to a joint series with him and Hal Jordan. So now, yeah, it does feel very convoluted because of the way that they've organized it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it didn't have to be that way. I think most people who are looking to see a Green Lantern coming into this new iteration of DC were looking for Jon Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair to say.
Has he even been in a live action movie yet?
Nope. Nothing live action. The only live action Green Lantern we've ever gotten was
Hal
one of the
Jordan?
biggest superhero flops of all time, but
Yeah.
that was Hal Jordan.
Ryan
like,
Reynolds.
There's absolutely no evidence that Hal Jordan is the guy, even though he's supposed to be. There is no evidence of that. He doesn't dominate the animated space. He doesn't. He did. It goes without saying he didn't dominate live action. To me, this is more of studio decision making than the character, to be honest with you, because Jon Stewart could just as easily be Miles if it were for better decision making, but lack thereof has relegated him to being a worser version of Falcon. I mean, at least at current state.
Yeah.
Maybe the television show will fix that. But as long as they're convoluting it like that, I don't think it's going to do much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Nathan Fillion though.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not a role that he necessarily needed, considering he does everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could have seen him. He should have been Nathan Drake, is who he should have been. I don't know how we screwed the pooch on that one and gave it to Holland, but
I do, because Tom Holland's
so,
probably the demographic that they were going for. Speaking of Tom,
Nathan Fillion literally is Nathan Drake. It's him.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's just come on.
But they wanted to appeal to the target that Tom Holland's name would bring
how'd the
forward.
box office do?
You know,
Mark Wahlberg is Sully.
yikes! Did you see what's been going on with Tom Holland?
Mm-mm.
Apparently, he's in some movie or show, and
Oh, he's getting he was hemmed up like Anthony Mackie. I did see that.
yeah, but he was.
Is it about like sexual assault or something? Or?
I have no idea what the show's about. I just keep seeing people posting about it, and I'm just like, all right, I don't want to see this anymore.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, it's a little much. Anyway, you didn't say really much about Mr. Terrific.
No, yes, 2 thumbs up.
Absolutely.
Look to see it.
And then Hawk Girl, played by Isabella Merced. Let's check on the pronunciation on that.
And I'm Isabella Merced. And
Yep.
Isabella Merced.
Isabella Merced is Hawk Girl. So that's what we got as far as casting on Superman. I think that is everything that
I'm
I
getting
have.
more confused as to when the time period for the Superman is supposed to be. So it's like
2026.
yeah,
at this
it's
point.
going to be like mid-20s Superman, but like, Green Lantern and Hawkeye and not Hawkeye.
Hawk Girl.
Hawk Girl and Mr. Terrific are already going to be there. So, but like, if I'm looking at Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific, and Guy Gardner, is Bruce somewhere with his thumb up his ass? Where's Wally?
No, bro, he's Bruce Wayne is obviously in the Flash. So he's dealing with the
obviously
Flash
in
stuff.
Oh, whatever, man. We'll see how it
There's
comes
multiple
together.
iterations of Bruce Wayne.
I'm just
dealing with the
confused
Flash
if this
stuff.
is going to be a Superman who's already been Superman for a few years, or if this
Yeah,
is
I
like the Pattinson
He
Batman.
said it
It's
wasn't
his
supposed
first
to be the
couple years.
origin. That's what he said.
It's not an origin.
That's what
Okay,
Gunn said.
cool. But then we got
Where- yeah,
mid-20s
what are we-
Superman, so it's pretty close to the origin, right?
Yeah. I am just as confused as you are. I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
We shall see.
Absolutely.
Give us your thoughts on everything discussed today. Put it in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Come back next week for another Behind the Cape episode.
Absolutely. Make sure you check out our previous Behind the Cape, where we discussed Netflix taking a play over Marvel and DC. Yeah. And then make sure that you subscribe. Like you said, we like to do this at least once a week.